Hello, my name is Mary Gage, and I wrote Fallout. I'm a playwright. It's a new play coming to the State Theatre. It's incredibly relevant, and I'm really looking forward to seeing you there.
Excellent. I'm Elaine Meder-Wilgus. I'm the director of Fallout. We have 4 performances for you to enjoy March 30th and 31st on the main stage at the State Theatre, either at a matinee at 2:30 or an evening performance at 7:30. I do hope that you'll join us there. The link for the tickets are on the State Theatre's main site. Thank you. Now, Mary, you wrote this play back after you had seen a interview with Carl Meacham. He did a presentation. Tell us a little bit about how Fallout came to be.
Well, I wasn't thinking of writing a play at all, actually, Elaine. I just went to a friend's conference, and one of the speakers had forgotten to prepare a speech, and instead he winged it by telling 2 stories, and one was about this Major Etherly under the heading of surviving a catastrophe. And I was so fascinated that I just went home and wrote it. It wrote itself almost, because one thing followed another, and it just went on through its crazy ride to the end. It was easy to write, but putting it on was something else.
That's right. There are a few little things got in the way. You originally had Rich Beaver at his studio do a fantastic staged reading with some wonderful local actors, and out of that is the reason that we're here today talking about the full production that's happening at the State Theatre at the end of March. Tell us a little bit about that whole experience.
Well, it's really had a sort of partly charmed and partly cursed life, because it was easy to write, and then Rich did this lovely reading, and afterwards I got the audience to all talk about it, and they were very enthusiastic. And one of them stood up and said, how much would it take to put on? And we all laughed, but he was serious. And so he gave us half the money that Rich said it would take, and the others all chipped in the rest, and suddenly we had a full production. So that was kind of magic. But
yeah. You were on your way to New York with a full production, is that?
Yeah, we thought we'd take it to New York, and we were setting off to do auditions in March 2020,
yes.
When, we said, well, it seems like there's something going on. Maybe we better wait a week till this thing passes over. And that was the
plan. Yes, flash forward, we know what happened. Yeah. And you and I began working also with some other local folks to get a local production to sort of honor this budget that was, given by the community. And we've also had to postpone it, I think, 2 or 3 times at this point.
Yeah, I think this is 3rd time lucky, because we were going to go in November, weren't we?
I think we had originally even looked at September previously to that. And
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's amazing. But that's all the bad luck. I mean, the good luck is that because of the time, I was able to make the play much richer, because a wonderful Hiroshima survivor, dear little thing, came to campus, and she was about 8 at the time that the bomb fell, and she can remember it, and she told us about it. And of course, I thought we must have a Japanese, there's a missing side to the play. And so I put the child in, which is kind of innocence and of the Japanese side, and it makes a huge difference. And also, I got very alarmed by the amount of money we spend on arms, and the budget was so huge this year that I also had the Major Etherly time travel in one of his mad spells to the present, so that I think it's something we should all know and talk about. So that's also in the play.
Yeah, and you, so let's back up a moment. And for those who don't know, the play centers around the life of Claude Buck Etherly. He was a pilot. Really, he himself had a charmed life as well, Mary. He was an actual person. This play is based on the real life of Claude Etherly. And he was an ace poker player. He married literally a movie star, and he was an ace pilot as well. But after the bombing of Hiroshima, in which he was the plane that gave the go-ahead to drop the bomb, he was terribly troubled for years, right? You take what is in essence decades of this man's life, and for dramatic purposes and the purposes of telling his story, kind of shrink it down, and we have sort of an abstract treatment of this time passing. And you made reference to the fact that he actually comes into the future. We see Ether Lee visit a missile silo in present day. And you know, it's got this wonderful ability to give the audience so much information about this man and ask some questions that you as a playwright don't necessarily answer, but you want the audience to think about. Is that not kind of the beauty of it?
Yes. And also, it's not just a sort of anti-war play, because I give everybody a voice. I mean, everybody deserves a voice. And it actually does end with Tibbets, the guy who dropped the bomb, saying, yes, we know we did the right thing. And if we have to, we'll do it all over again, which leaves you with food for thought. And also probably the majority American opinion. But I wanted to show how Ether Lee just couldn't take it. Nobody knew when the bomb dropped how much devastation there was going to be. And he was a regular American guy, you know, who had bombed Japan, but he couldn't take the scale of this. And it has been a shadow over the world ever since, I think.
Yeah, and I mean, it's such a fascinating story. And at one point, Ether Lee was world famous. People wrote songs about him, poetry. Children all over the world wrote him letters. And they were, of course, writing these letters to him when he was institutionalized.
Yeah, and even a senator came and asked him to go to Japan and intervene because he'd got so popular in Japan that he wanted him to help the Americans, you know, mend the trouble that had happened after the war. So he was very, very famous.
Yeah.
Now he's forgotten completely. So I brought him back to life.
Yes, you did. And the play certainly does that. I think it is important that people realize you're not pontificating or getting on a soapbox about nuclear proliferation, but we often use art to bring up these questions and to give ourselves a sort of platform to have discussions around them. We were approached by a mutual friend, Sajay Samuel, who has produced, at this point, one and will produce two more talks with experts in fields. So let me actually go back one slide. The first talk was Madness in the Nuclear Age, and that was Sajay was joined by Greg Keegan, who, you know, as a historian, studies madness, institutionalization, you know, and in that talk, it's fascinating. He talks about so many people who walked away, and we really, in many ways, see Ether Lee try to walk away. I mean, he was trying to get arrested for years. Isn't that right, Mary?
Yes, he felt terribly guilty, and he wanted what his main thing was that when he got back, Tibbets came. He was still very crazy, and Tibbets came and said, "Now I'm going to make you feel better. You're going to be in the Heroes Parade. You're going to get a hero's pension." And he said, "I'm not a hero. I don't want the pension. I don't want to go in the parade." And his main object became, "I want to show people I'm not a hero." And so, because he was a bit crazy, his idea of showing that was to hold up banks and rob post offices. And he wanted to send, or forge checks. He wanted to send the money to the children of Hiroshima. And the judge would keep saying to him, "How do you plead?" And he'd say guilty. And he'd say, "Well, in view of your wonderful military service, I'm not going to send you to prison." And he'd say, "Please, please send me to prison." Because his whole aim was that he didn't want to be a hero.
Yeah, and I mean, we see this man being pulled between these two forces. I mean, the military wanted to use him and hold him up as an example of a hero, obviously. And then the anti-nuclear peace movement also wanted to hold him up. And, you know, it's a man wrestling with, his own mental stability and the intense guilt. I mean, he took upon his shoulders the death of over 100,000 people in the bombing of Hiroshima and then subsequently Nagasaki. And, I love the way you bring in Hideko, and that is that young girl who, yeah, she represents innocence, but she also has this ability to symbolize forgiveness. I mean, she never blames etherly. And so you have some beautiful moments in the play. I'm really excited as we're working it out in production. Just sort of, the beauty of theater to bring subjects to light and in such a, I don't know, it's so moving. I can't wait to be in a theater again. It's been so long.
Yes, thank goodness it's coming back. Thank goodness. And
Yeah.
we're so lucky because the actors are dying to get back too. And so lots of them who would be fully employed and couldn't possibly come, are actually coming from London and New York to be in the play. We're very lucky to have them.
Yeah, we're very excited. We have Doug Cockle, who is an alumni of the School of Theater. I believe he got his MFA in 1999. He's coming back to play Ether Lee's brother, Joe, and we're thrilled to have him. We've got some other actors coming from New York and a lot of actors that people will recognize from the local community as well. I'm really excited about, I've directed several of your plays in the past, and I love the way that you use the magic of theater, the setting, and this play in particular is not about props and big set pieces. It's really got a beautiful abstraction and that magic. We have a lighting designer who's new to the State Theater, and he is fantastic. He's going to make this production just a stunning theatrical production. I'm really excited to work with him.
Well, I'm very lucky to work with you, actually, Elaine, because I write these things sitting alone in my house. And, you're able to bring them to physical life, and I just would be completely incapable of that. I mean, that's the nice thing about theatre. You have a director that you pass it on to, and she does magic with it and produces the play. So it's lovely to work with you.
Oh, thank you, Mary. It's lovely to work with you too. We are deep in production. We've been meeting, Mary and I, for months now, and with our designers and excited to get the rehearsals underway. Here's the thing we're going to ask you. We do this because we love it, yes, but we also do it because we're providing jobs for actors and designers, and we do that through your ticket purchases. So we'll make one more plea. Isn't that right, Mary? Please visit the State Theater's website. The link is below us there. And join us in the theater. I know it's going to bring up questions. You're going to be able to discuss it with the people that you see it with. Have dinner. Wear your mask. The State Theater is requiring proof of vaccination or a negative test results within 72 hours of attending. So please be sure that you have that handy. We're just excited to share this show with you. It's been almost 2 years now since we've had live theater on the main stage of the State Theater. So we're thrilled and excited to bring this production to you.
Yes, I look forward to seeing you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.